I never once stopped to think about the cost of the air I breathe or the sun that warms my shoulders. To me, the world was always just a free accessory to my credit card. I walked through life with the feeling that every stone beneath my heels should know its place. That morning, I woke up thinking about a new car, a perfect manicure, and how dull the people around me looked. I had no idea that in just a few hours, I would be begging for a single glance from those I didn't even consider human. My day began as usual, with a vain look in the mirror, never suspecting that soon, that mirror would shatter into 1,000 shards, each one cutting into my soul. I remember entering the park. The sun was too bright, reflecting off the fountain water like thousands of expensive diamonds. I felt invincible. I was wearing a silk blouse that cost more than most people earn in a month. The whole world seemed like nothing more than a backdrop for my performance. Then I saw him, Pierce, a smudge on my perfect landscape. He sat there with that pathetic paper cup, waiting for crumbs. It wasn't enough for me to simply ignore him. I wanted to remind him of the abyss between us. I pulled out a $100 bill, crisp, new, smelling of power, and held it over the water. "Do you want it?" I asked. My voice was dripping with the sarcasm I mistakenly took for wit. As he reached for it, hope flickering in his weary eyes, I felt a surge of cruel electricity. I made him fish a cent out of the filthy water. I watched as an old man crawled in the fountain like a trained animal, all while I filmed it on my phone. The climax of my joke was tearing that bill in half. The sound of the paper snapping felt like the sound of victory. "To see your stupid face!" I laughed. I felt so big, so high. But as I turned to leave, he whispered something, like a mantra. "I want you to learn the true value of money." A chill, colder than the fountain water, ran down my spine. For a second, my heart skipped a beat, and a strange trembling took over my body. I laughed it off, mocked him one last time, and threw a coin back into the water. "I want a new car!" I shouted. That strange anxiety followed me all the way home, but it vanished the moment I saw it. A yellow Mini Cooper with a giant red bow, parked right in our yard. I danced around it, feeling the smooth metal under my fingers, screaming with joy until my father stepped out. "Daddy!" I rushed to him, expecting a hug. Instead, I felt his hands roughly shove me away. "Who the hell are you?" he barked. His eyes, the eyes that had always looked at me with pride, were filled with genuine revulsion. He wasn't joking. He called me homeless and threatened to call the police. I backed away, my heel catching on the curb, and caught my reflection in the car's side mirror. I gasped, nearly choking on the air. In the mirror was a girl with matted hair, a face smeared with soot and grease, and clothes that had turned into gray, foul-smelling rags. I was a ghost in my own life. I fell to my knees, pleading, trying to explain the magic, but to him, I was just another crazy person. When the gates slammed shut, it wasn't just a door closing. It was my entire world. Saw a tramp. He pulled out his phone and started filming me, mocking me just as I had mocked Pierce hours before. "Look at that," he sneered. "It's pretending to be human." Those words burned worse than acid. I threw a found coin into the fountain, begging to have my life back. For a moment, I saw my silk blouse again. I danced, thinking the nightmare was over. But it was only a trick of the light. The passerby showed me his screen. There I was, still that dirty girl in rags. That's when Pierce appeared again. He didn't look like a beggar. He looked like a judge. "Return the $100, he said. realize how hard it is for money to come by. I tried to cheat. I snuck into my own house like a thief, stole a bill from my father's drawer, and taped it together. I thought I could buy my way out of the curse, but Pierce was there, a shadow in the hallway. He saw through my lie. He made me realize that using my father's money wasn't earning anything. I ran, broken and exhausted, and ended up on a park bench where I suddenly saw something familiar beneath my feet. It was one half of the very bill I had torn that morning. It was dirty and crumpled, but it was mine. But life had one more test for me. I saw Dorothy, a woman whose eyes held more pain than I had known in my entire life. She was holding the other half. I tried to be selfish, to argue that I wasn't actually homeless, but she spoke of her sick son. He was dying on the street without medicine. To her, that scrap of paper wasn't just money. It was her child's heartbeat. In that moment, the Brittany in the silk blouse finally died. I looked at my half, then at her tear-streaked face, and I gave it to her. For the first time in my life, I felt the weight of $100, not as wealth, but as a responsibility. By evening, as the shadows grew long, I sat by the fountain again with empty hands. I was ready to accept my fate as long as Dorothy's son had a chance. I didn't find the money, I whispered to Pierce. He only gently asked me to look at the water. I leaned over, and the reflection was clear. It was me, but not the old me. My face was clean, but there was a kindness in my eyes that hadn't been there before. The curse was gone, not because I brought the money, but because I finally understood. Money is not power. It is the opportunity to be human. That was when my father found me, frantic with worry. He offered me the car again, that same yellow Mini Cooper. I looked at the keys, then at the fountain where Pierce had just been sitting. He was gone, leaving only the sound of the water. "Daddy," I said, hugging him with a sincerity I had never felt before. "Can we return this car? There are people out there, like Dorothy. Their lives could change with what we spend in a single moment. Let's help them instead." He looked at me, truly seeing my essence for the first time in years. "I'm proud of you, my girl." We walked through the park together, and I could feel Pierce somewhere there, in the sound of the water, continuing his silent vigil, waiting for the next soul that needs reminding that true wealth cannot be torn in half.